Okay, can I get the thumbs up, Miss Fitz, if you can hear me, just to make sure that I'm okay? Yeah, great. Okay. Good evening, everybody. One of the beauties of doing a Zoom meeting is the fact that we can start when the clock ticks over to 6 o'clock. So I'm always worried about waiting, and it's great that we're able to kick tonight's information session off promptly. And we welcome you. We welcome you all for joining us this evening for what I hope will be a really productive session this evening. Hang on a minute. Technical problems. Ms. Fitz, can you still put your thumbs up if you can hear me? Jody can. Sorry, people, just hold on. Mr. Parker, can you hear me? Yes, thank you, Mr. Darren. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Well, I'm getting waves everywhere. Except, okay, technical difficulties, but we'll just keep continuing until we can fix one of the speaker's audio issues. So a very big welcome to you all, and thank you for joining us. As I mentioned, I hope tonight, this evening, is a time where you gather some really valuable information about 2024. Can you believe we're talking about 2024 already? And I did that quick calculation in my head about, graduates of 2029 and, what will our place, what will our school community look like when we're at that stage of our development. It's been a really exciting ride here at Iona, and I look forward to outlining a little bit of that tonight, but I promise you I won't keep my part too long because we've got a very full agenda. We've got a lot of people who have various bits of information that they will be presenting to you this evening. So just in starting, we always start our gatherings, whether it be via Zoom or via in person, with a prayer and an acknowledgement of country. So together we pray in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. God, the beginning and end of all creation, in your name we come together to reflect upon and plan for the future of education of your young people commencing at Iona College in 2024. We remain conscious of the richness and the variety of gifts that you have given us for our task. We are conscious too of our human limitations. We ask you to guide us as we search in partnership for understanding the signs of our times, for insight into tomorrow, which begins today, for a vision of possibilities which will fulfill the mission that you have entrusted us. We thank you for your enlivening spirit, which continues to inspire us through these times of change and growth. As we continue this very special journey, we make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. And always an important part of our ritual is our acknowledgement of country, and our community of Iona College acknowledge the Wadawurrung people as the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather and learn. And we pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging who nurtured and preserved this land and recognise their continuing connection to country, waters and culture. So again, a very big welcome from myself as principal. Those that don't know me, my name is Damien McHugh. Hopefully you heard from me at Open Day. I'm sure we've got plenty of existing parents with new daughters and sons, young people joining us in next year. But for those that I haven't met, I do look forward to meeting you over the next number of years as you join the Iona community. Tonight is a chance, as mentioned earlier, to go over a few bits and pieces, and we don't expect you to have to write all this stuff down. I know some people will, but this is being recorded, so you will be able to refer back to this link if there's something you want to just go over again. We'll keep in contact with you, sending out information that you need to know about all different things that will be happening towards the end of this year and next year. So rest assured, we'll walk this journey with you. It's important that you're able to hear from some of our key staff. I'm going to give you a little update of where we are with the physical development of our school. Of course, we know that wellbeing and learning are important aspects of a secondary school education, and there'll be some information presented there. One thing I always note in these gatherings is that a lot of questions come up about buses, about how's my young person going to get to Iona. Rest assured, we won't address that much tonight. but you will receive a tailored email that will explain the bus arrangements for 2024, and we're hopeful to have that out in early November, might be even late October as we go. Unfortunately, we can't have a Q&A section, but we do encourage you, and our coordinator, Justine, will encourage you to make contact with us here at Iona should there be any questions that you have that need to be addressed immediately. So I'd like to introduce some of our key staff who will be speaking tonight. And we have some wonderful individuals joining us and some that are not joining us tonight, some that are actually involved in other speaking engagements, can you believe? So our famous Deputy Principal, Kylie Power, well sought after speaker. I think she's at GMHBA speaking to a group of educators about wellbeing in schools. Kylie's been with us since 2021 and has been instrumental in forming part of our school community. We're very excited that next year we also have a new Deputy Principal joining us whose focus will be on learning. Melissa Gould. Melissa is currently the Principal of Rochester Secondary College and will be joining us next year focusing on learning. And I'm very excited because Melissa is from very close to where I grew up in the country, a place called Birchip. So if anybody's from St Arnaud or Birchip or anywhere in the North Central or the Wimmera, a special hello to you. We also have other key staff as well. We have our Year 7 Wellbeing Community Leader, Justine Fitzpatrick, who will be ably assisted next year by Jessie Sutton. We have a dual approach in terms of leadership of Year 7, and these two people will be instrumental in the journey of your young person as they transition to secondary school, and you'll hear from them shortly. Of course, we have a focus on wellbeing and making sure that we are presenting, or our students are presenting their best possible selves. And we have our Head of Wellbeing, Ashley Mills. Unfortunately, he can't be with us tonight, but Mr. Durran, Craig Durran, who's currently our Year 9 coordinator and taking on a new role next year as Head of Positive Behaviours, will speak a little bit about our wellbeing program here at Iona that you will be, I'm sure, very interested in. Equally so, just as wellbeing is a crucial part of school communities, so is learning. We know the interrelationship between wellbeing and learning and the importance of well individuals, that they can only learn if they are well. And we have two very capable focus leaders who will be specifically working with Melissa Gould, our new deputy, on the learning program in the school. So we have Mrs. Kate McLaren and Mr. Steve Parker, who will also be mentioning a few things as we go on tonight. There are a few additional leaders that we have with us, and for very important areas of our school. We have our maths area leader next year, Ms. Louise Keating, and also Head of Performing Arts, Ms. Jodie Townsend, who again is going to speak a fair bit about our arts program in the school. And last but certainly not least, with no offence to anyone that else joined us this year, but I think our college nurse, Kate Every, is up there with Recruit of the Year, I think, in most people's estimation. We realise that with the complexities of student medical needs changing over time, that we needed to employ a college nurse, and can I say we couldn't have got a better one. We struck gold with Kate, and Kate's going to say a few words tonight, so you'll get to see yourself what a wonderful person Kate is and what a wonderful nurturing person she'll be of your daughters, your sons and your young people. My final words are just a really quick update on our buildings and facilities. So can you believe that back in 2019, towards the end, that's the start of the Columbus Centre? It didn't seem like that long ago to me, and there are some foundation families joining us tonight that will remember when we started out with this one little building at the end of 2019 in readiness for the 2020 school year. Our school started with 150 students in Year 7 and about 23 staff. And next year we tip well over into over 1,000 students, and we are roughly about 170 staff next year. We're working really hard on our master plan. In fact, next week we commence the next major build in our school community, and that is the duplication of our gymnasium, the duplication of our food technology area, and the establishment of general purpose learning classroom block. These areas are an investment of well in excess of $20 million into our school, and are built because of our growth, but obviously built because we wish to provide your young people with the best possible facilities during their time here at Iona. And as promised to you, I'm really pleased that we've been able to reach these milestones with regard to our building program, that we're on track to complete the full build in a few years' time. So we wish to, whilst those facilities will be ready for the 2025 school year, we won't stop there. We wish to start again the next build, which is a more permanent library facility, a more permanent student services area, an area where we can relocate our music and performing arts into proper purpose-built spaces that are more suitable for as we grow into our senior years and beyond as we get bigger. So really exciting times. We're really thankful to have had some government support in terms of funding, because I know parents might ask, who's paying for all this? Okay, so we've been very fortunate to balance the books and ensure that our fees do not become inaccessible for our families as far as we go. So we're excited by our build, but the more important things than buildings are certainly what happens within the school. And my final words to you, as well as saying welcome, is that we are blessed here at Iona with the staff that have joined us in our community. And I've said this before, and I probably said it on open day, I have never worked with such a wonderful, professional, caring, relationship-driven group of people. They are exceptional individuals, and they are growing, and together we are growing what I think is an exceptional school and what we can continue to improve. I count my blessings every day. I turn up to work, and it's a joy to turn up to work and work with these people. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Mr. Durran, who is going to give us a little bit of a snapshot about wellbeing. Thank you, Mr. Durran. You need to take yourself off mute.
There we go. You'd think I'd be used to this after COVID, Mr. McHugh. Thank you to all the families who are joining us tonight. My name is Craig Durran, as Mr. McHugh just alluded to, and next year I've got a new role at the school as Head of Positive Behaviours. I'm really excited about the new role, but I'll be honest, I'm more excited about our school building and developing, and that is all new families who are coming in. So the 270 plus students, and there'll be new families, old families joining us. You're helping us shape the school moving forward. And that, to me personally, that's a huge exciting thing, because we get to develop a culture where we're inclusive, where we look after each other's well-being, where we strive for excellence in the classroom, and we provide and produce, I guess, in a way, wonderful citizens of our community. And I think as educators, that's why we're in this game. We love that challenge. We love getting the personal best out of students. And I think what goes in line with that is we can't get the personal best out of a student if we're not really addressing well-being. And Mr. McHugh alluded to earlier, well-being is at the core of our relationship building. We identify that we can't really learn in a classroom if students' well-being needs aren't being met. And we have a variety of supports that myself and Ms. Fitzpatrick will talk about shortly, where we will be able to support your child. And we recognise that secondary school is a roller coaster. Students in, and to get the parents, I guess, aware for this and prepared, year 7, 8 and 9, they are challenging years. They're challenging years for the students, they're challenging years for families. But as we work together, we develop a really trusting relationship where we will invest time and energy into your child, and they will give that back in spades. And by the end of their transition at this school, there'll be success. There'll be hard times, there'll be good times, there'll be challenges. But what we try and enable is, I guess, high expectations, and with that becomes high support. And that is a recipe for absolute success. And I guess this slide that we're staring at right now, which was the brains trust of Nurse Kate, signifies that. It's very hard to get 10 students at one time to do something straight away. So to get 500 kids to stand and sign out, "Are you okay?" I think is exceptional. And that's what we're striving for. We're after exceptional gains. And I guess a really big thing I'd like to just talk about, a lot of schools go about publicity of, "Oh, we made a little video, are you okay?" That's tick that box. I think what this school does really well is wellbeing is embedded within how we teach, how we interact, and that investment is really worthwhile. And I think this quote here is an absolute ripper. And I'll just give you 15 seconds just to have a quick read of that. Now, I can't take the credit for that quote, but that's what we live. And as Mr. McHugh said, the staff at this school are exceptional. I'm to put a personal spin on this, my daughter goes to this school as well. And there's no bigger investment that you can give your child, I think, is their education. And we thank you for entrusting us to look after your child's education. And we look forward to developing wonderful relationships as the years progress. So thank you. It's lovely to meet you just for this short meeting time, and I can't wait to welcome you back on campus. I'd now like to pass over to Ms. Fitzpatrick. Thank you.
We're just testing my microphone because it wasn't working, but it is working. So thank you. We actually missed all of Mr. McHugh's first introduction, but I'd like to say a warm welcome to all our families out there. I might have met some of you on our tours, maybe at the start or end of last year. I'm excited to meet our other families that I haven't had the pleasure to meet yet, but my name is Justine Fitzpatrick. I've been here for just 1.5 years. My main role is to look after your young people or your children in their transition year of high school. So I know that the challenge between moving from primary school to secondary school can be quite anxious, but we do have an amazing program here. We do have amazing staff, as we've already mentioned. We are here to support you in all the needs that you have. I know that we'll talk about that later a little bit more in terms of transition and learning diversity and things that you're probably asking. We will answer hopefully all of your questions tonight, and if not, as Mr. McHugh said, we will have options for you to email or ring in, but also our amazing reception staff have also put together a Year 7 handbook, which will be your Bible, which hopefully will come out just in its final editing phase, which will come out hopefully at the end of the week. So I would ask you to probably hold on your questions until you get that book, because it's got a lot of information in it. And also we are recording this session, so you'll be able to go back and have a look. I'm also running this session, so I apologise if things go wrong, but we're going. Jessie's in here with me. We've already had a few little hiccups. We do strive to be the best school in terms of our wellbeing, our relationships with our young people, our relationships with our staff. One of the ways in which we do that, and if you're a family that are already embedded into our school, you'll know that we use a program called Pulse. This program enables staff and students to be able to begin the relationship and the check-in or the help-seeking process. It's a really valuable tool for us to be able to get your young people to start asking us for help, asking us for support while they're building the relationships with us. We know that relationships take time and trust takes time. You're moving from primary school where you have got amazing teachers and relationships with your teachers, and it will take time for you to build those relationships with us, but we do use a program called Pulse. We have a wellbeing session. Every child in the school has a wellbeing class on a Tuesday morning, and they're asked to fill out their Pulse survey. Staff also do this on a Monday morning. The Pulse survey is basically a very quick wellbeing check-in. It takes at least only about 30 seconds. The first question identifies the student and how they're feeling. So they'll get asked how they're feeling that day, whether they need help, they're negative, they're feeling positive, they're feeling okay. They've got about 5 options. They click on that, and that is the only thing that identifies them. After that, they'll get a sequence of questions that are randomised, and it asks them a whole bunch of questions from how they're feeling at school, how they're feeling at home, do they eat breakfast, and all these other questions, which we'll go over later. But that also allows us to check in with your young person. So if your young person states that they feel negative or they need help, a staff member will make contact with them that day. Don't get me wrong, in the first couple of times that they've tried to push it, they sometimes push help to see what happens. Pretty quickly they realise that we come in and say, hi, how you going? Oh, I didn't mean to press it. But they are aware that staff will come and check in on them immediately that day. All wellbeing leaders have that period off, so we watch that data come in live. And we also have a student reception staff member that will send us a snippet of our results in case we get pulled away from our computer, and she will also let us know which students require support that day. So I'm finding by term 4 this year that students are really using Pulse in a positive way, and we get a whole range of information from the students, from probably some boys in particular that find it quite difficult to ask for help. It's a really good way for them to start their communication with us. So we'll go over that a little bit more when your young person starts, but that is the main reason we use Pulse. We are starting to unpack it. Mr. Durran and Mr. Mills, their roles will also be to check the data in terms of, it also can be used as a learning tool as well to let us know where students sit with their learning, how they're feeling in their classrooms, how they're feeling with their transition and things like that as well. So that's a really good tool that we use here at Iona. The other thing I would like to talk about is our community groups. If you've come on our tour or you're a family of ours already, you would know that in Year 7, we have the amazing ability to have smaller community groups, homerooms if you've been from other schools. Our community groups, we split into 13. So your young person will start their day in a smaller group with one teacher with only 12 other students. We find that a valuable transition experience for our young people because they're enabled to get to know their teacher really quickly. It's also a good communication and protocol for you as a family to know that you have a teacher that will get to know your child really well and really quickly. We find that them starting school in a less noisier space allows some of the students that are quite anxious about joining, if you've come from a smaller primary school with smaller numbers, obviously we are getting quite big quite quickly. It can get quite noisy. That having that 13 students in a community group really enables relationships, community, and the staff also love it because they get to know their students really well. What happens with our community groups, they then join another community group to make a learning group. So when they go into moving into their subjects, they will be with 26 students. Most of the time we won't go over that number. So community groups are the morning. In community groups, we also are really honoured by the way that we take your young person's phone if they've got one already, or if they're going to get one for Christmas. We do take their phones in the morning in that community group. Community group is also where we do prayer, any notices that they may need, any check-ins that they may need, especially in that first couple of weeks, locker, how to use their lockers, how to open their locks. That's very challenging as well. What books they need, where to go, that their teacher's there for that. But with their phones in particular, we're really proud of the fact we take their phones. I must admit last year when I started here, there's a real buzz outside in the yard because students don't have their phones. And we're not anti-technology, we just are really adamant that we want our young people to have breaks away from their technology and really socialise. With COVID, we know that their social skills are really lacking in some way. So they're a lot more active. They're a lot more social. We've got a lot of clubs and activity groups that we have. And then in the afternoon, we have a quick 5-minute community group where they will receive their phones back. They are locked away for safety. They're down in student reception. So if your young person was to arrive late to school or needed to go for an appointment, our student receptionist would be able to unlock those boxes and give the phones back. So that's part of our Iona culture that we're really proud of. Obviously, as we get older, the challenge is, students trying not to hand their phones in and things, but we really need your support with this. And I know on the tour, a lot of the families were really proud of the fact that we take phones. So please support us in that space. Hopefully. So next slide. I'd like to introduce my assistant. My assistant is Jessie Sutton, and I'm really excited to be working with Jessie next year.
Hi everyone. I also was at Open Day and I'm looking forward to seeing lots of new faces again next year. I'm here to talk about GISA and house sports. So if you just change the slide, Jazz.
Doing two things at once.
That's all right. So our GISA program, next year we have Mitch Herbison, who is going to be our Director of Sport, and he will be heavily involved in our GISA program and our house sport, as well as our whole school sport. So our GISA program firstly will run every Wednesday afternoon in period 5 and 6 with all of the year 7s and the year 8s. And students will select a sport if they wish to participate in. Usually they get 2 or 3 options. Most of the time they get their first preference. We also understand that sport is not for everyone. So there is other alternatives such as arts and crafts, music, minor games, and some other different activities that they might be more interested if they are not interested in the sports side of things. Some of those sports will go out and verse other schools. Some schools such as Christian College, St Ignatius College, Cardinia, and there's a few more as well. So that's every Wednesday afternoon. That's timetabled in, and it's a great opportunity for students to meet other young people in their outside of their wellbeing group, as well as other year levels. So with the year 7s and in year 8s. We also have lunchtime house sport, which is internal competition that runs every lunchtime, depending on the term. It will depend on the sport. This is versing other year 7s in their house groups. Some examples this year, they've played basketball, netball. I think there's been volleyball as well, which is also a great opportunity for students to meet other students outside of their community groups. And the last one I wanted to talk about was the whole school event. So we have our athletics carnival that's held at Landy Field. We also have our swimming carnival that's held at Cardinia. And we have cross country that is held at the school. And so they're all different competitions that will take place during next year as well. The next part I'm talking about is our Year 7 camp, which was a very big hit this year. Students loved going on camp. We split the groups up into the whole Year 7 cohort up into 2 groups. So they'll go with their community groups to either the first lot of dates or the second lot of dates, and that's off to Phillip Island Adventure Resort. That is the students' highlight, some majority of the students' highlight of Year 7. We still get kids talking about it now, which is fantastic. They form fantastic friendships, as well as lots of different things. They step out of their comfort zone in different activities. We get to go and visit the penguins. They get to do activities such as canoeing, camp cooking, giant swing, zip line, and it's all lots of fun. So it's a great way for teachers to meet some of their young people in a different way, but also for the students to meet each other. So we look forward to seeing you next year, and I'll hand it back over to Justine, who's going to continue talking about NCCD.
Hi everyone, just in relation to Camp 2, the main reason we give out the dates is obviously for family holidays and things that you may be booking in. We also split it into 2 groups because of the large number. We are a new school, we are finding it difficult to get bookings earlier than term 2. However, I do like term 2 in terms of a camp. I know some of our other Catholic schools do it a little bit earlier in term 1. It allows our staff and also your young people to form relationships before they go. It gives them that little bit more time with each other. So we then find that their experience on camp is a lot more successful. If your young person hasn't been on camp, whether it's been COVID or just that's not something that they've done in the past, we'll work with them in terms of making them feel comfortable. We really want the experience to be one that they'll remember forever, and that it's a positive experience. So that's the main reason why we are heading off to Phillip Island, and it is a beautiful camp. My next role as I'm Year 7 Wellbeing Leader, I also look after the Year 7 Learning Diversity. So if there are parents out there that have got in contact with me last term and are chasing me now, after tonight, you'll hear from me. I will be doing some transition meetings with your schools and yourself as families. What I mainly want to say in this space, and if you're not familiar with NCCD or you're not from a Catholic school, which most of you should be at the moment because our intake has been amazing, we are asking for you, if you have not told us about your young person and any additional needs that they have, we really require that information. It's really important that the more information we have about your young person, whether it's been, imputed or whether you are thinking that maybe there's been some learning difficulties or that there's been some challenges with their learning, that we really require that information Thank you to everyone that has uploaded their documents and given it to our beautiful registrar, and she's given us that information. But without that, it's really challenging for us to put your young person in the right classes with the right support. And also we do a lot of transitional information with our learning support officers before your young person arrives. So the more information we can get from you, the better. We have an amazing learning diversity team here at Iona College, but I would actually say this is one of the most amazing schools in terms of their staff awareness of learning support needs in a classroom. All of our staff are really well versed with what students need and require in this space. And only this morning we were doing some more literacy training with our learning support staff so that we can have the best data and the best information from your young people when they come in on orientation day, so support them and putting them in classes. So I will get back to you in terms of transition. We do run an amazing transition program. We will run small groups. We will run orientation days. We will run individualised programs for those that need it. But again, all we need is the information. We will have a new learning support diversity leader next year, and you'll get to meet her at the start of next year when we have a information family night where you get to meet more of your teachers. That once we know who they are, you'll get to meet your community group teachers. Parents will be invited to come as well. But we do support this space in a variety of ways. So again, the more information that we have, please send it in, whether it's diagnosis, whether it's challenges that your young person may have at school, whether it's their teachers have recommended certain things that happen. Yeah, please don't think that we don't require that information. It's really important. I'm now handing over to our amazing learning and innovation duo, I should say. They're standing up there together, and hopefully this works. So I'm handing over to Mr. Steve Parker, who's been haven't been foundation, I don't think, Mr. Parker, but I think you're here 1 year in, and Miss McLaren, who's joined us, Kate McLaren, who's joined us this year. So I'll hand over to the lovely people.
Thanks so much, Jazz. Steve and I thought that it would be a good moment to go through our learning philosophy here at Iona very, very briefly. Both Steve and I next year are sharing the role as the lead teachers and head of learning and innovation, and we're also the domain leaders for English. So hopefully we get a chance to meet a lot of you face to face next year. Our approach to learning at Iona is very centred on wellbeing, as I'm sure you've already managed to work out from what we've spoken about already this evening. And we also believe that at the core of a young person's sense of wellbeing is that sense of success and engagement with their learning. So here we do encourage our students to strive for their personal best. But I think what's probably more special about Iona is that we recognise that best looks very different for each individual young person in our care. We really work to help our young people to recognise the authentic links between what they're exposed to in the classroom and what their real wider worlds provide for them, and to be able to make those authentic links between learning and the real world. And as Justine has just clearly articulated, we cater for individual students' learning needs in a way that I haven't seen within my past years of teaching experiences in other settings. And yes, it's through support, but just as importantly, we really work to challenge and also extend our young people to work with them where they're at and to expect them to push above. Our classroom teachers are really dynamic, and Damien's already alluded to that. We have a key group of staff who foster a love of learning and work really hard in that area, and that's something that both Steve and I are really proud to be a part of.
Thanks, Kate, and good evening to everybody. Equally as important as discussing our philosophy of teaching at the college is to talk about the learning program for our Year 7s. So what you can all see on the screen in front of you, to the right-hand side of the screen, is a list of the subjects that all Year 7 students will be studying next year. So we begin with the core year-long subjects of English, Mathematics, RE, Science, Humanities, Health and PE, which has both practical lessons and also theory lessons. Indonesian is the only language other than English that's currently taught at our college. So all Year 7 students will be beginning a journey into the language of Indonesian. And what follows that is a series of semester-long subjects. So you can see on the screen visual art, design technology in wood, information technology, which is digital technologies and computing skills, and also music. The other subject that I jumped over there is a subject that's unique to Iona. It's called Learning to Learn. And as you can gather by the title of that subject, it is a subject dedicated to allowing our students to explore where their passions lie in education, what their strengths are, what their character strengths and values are, and it allows them to begin the journey that they're going to carve throughout their secondary school life, which will help them when it comes to subject selection in the intermediate school years, and will eventually help guide their way through the senior years, potentially into tertiary study, and then into the life beyond study, into the workforce when they begin their professional careers. As already mentioned today, we also have community group every morning and every afternoon, and on Tuesday mornings, community group extends into a 47-minute wellbeing session. Even though I know Year 8 and Year 9 are a long way ahead, and for the parents and students out there, you're probably thinking only of the year ahead of you and not too far down the track. But I think it's really important that we just touch briefly on what Year 8 and Year 9 looks like at our college. Year 8 is where students continue the core year-long subjects of English, Maths, RE, Science, Humanities, etc. But the semester-long subjects change. So rather than just doing visual art, students are doing visual and digital art for a semester. Instead of music, students are doing food technology as the first opportunity for our students to get into our kitchens and to try their hands at all things culinary and all things cooking. The students will study design technology materials rather than just wood. So students are beginning to dabble in plastics and metals and other materials. And the final subject there that they're beginning for the first time is drama. The reason we like to expose students to as many different subjects as possible over those Year 7 and Year 8 years is to help them choose their electives, which commences in Year 9. And while Year 9 is so far away, I don't want to deal with it too much tonight, but it is exciting to let you know that students get to choose 3 elective subjects per semester in Year 9. So they do 6 elective subjects in total, which amounts to 30% of all of their subject studies in the Year 9 year. Over on the next slide, I know it's all very small in the way that it's printed there, but they're a list of the electives available to our students, broken down into different learning areas. So for those students particularly passionate in English and literacy, you can see there's some additional English electives that they can choose if they want to. One is called Books into Film, where students who are interested in literature and reading will get to delve into texts and also their movie counterparts. For those students who are interested in grammar and linguistics, there's a subject called Love the Language. And that's the case for all of our learning areas. As you can see on the screen, for those interested in food and technology or music and performance, there are electives there waiting for them to get excited about.
And then by the time they're well and truly ahead in Year 10, we're moving our young people into their senior years of education, and with that comes an enormous amount of choice for our Iona students. Pretty much the only core subjects within Year 10 curriculums are their English and obviously their wellbeing and religious education. And from their maths, their science, humanities, arts, health and PE, it becomes really individualised for our young people, and they can choose the way that they would like to branch off for their future pathways. Our oldest year level this year at Iona are our Year 10s. So next year is our first year of VCE, which is very exciting for everybody. And we've had the opportunity to offer 3 extension programs for our current Year 10 students who have elected to accelerate and have already started their VCE in Year 11 subjects such as art, health and human development, and also business management. So for about 75 of our young people, they're already in their VCE pathway. One of the things that I think sets Iona apart is this idea of making sure that young people's pathways are really about what they want. And I think that the fact that we have such a rigorous program in the VOC major, which a lot of you would know as the old VCAL, really proves that point, that we make sure that there are learning options for all of our young people. We have an amazingly dynamic VOC major team starting next year. We offer vet subjects where students have a taste of a tertiary subject, and also school-based apprenticeship. So there's an awful lot to choose from in those senior years, which kick off for us next year.
Now, this is another slide that's very busy, and I imagine it's very difficult to read on your home computer screens, but this is what a typical Year 7 timetable looks like. I think it's really important to note tonight that we have a fortnightly timetable. What that means is students will alternate from a week 1 and a week 2, and then back to a week 1 again. And you can also see that there are 2 durations of time that students may be in class. There are single lessons that go for 47 minutes, and there are double lessons that go for 94 minutes. For some people who are listening tonight, that might come as a bit of a surprise because so far in our school's history, we've had lessons of 45 minutes and 90 minutes. We found a way of just increasing those lessons slightly for 2024, which is really important. We find that our lessons race by very quickly, so just to allow those additional few minutes will be really valuable, I think, in the classroom, particularly as our students move into VCE, where every minute in the classroom becomes really critical. The bell times, therefore, are different in 2024 to 2023 and the years prior to this year. Again, I suspect that it's probably hard to see on the screen. Hopefully, for those of you who want to dip into the recording tonight, you might be able to zoom in and see those more closely. But they'll also be released in the handbook that Justine will have out to all parents and families as well. In terms of the bells, I think, again, just to remind everybody that the day begins at 9 o'clock with community group and ends at 3:05, again with a 5-minute community group in the afternoon.
We are really conscious of the fact that for our incoming Year 7s, it's a rude shock for a lot of them to come into such a structured environment that's quite different to primary school. So I think one of the important pastoral aspects of our learning approach for Year 7 is that we have a no homework policy for our Year 7 cohort for those first 5 weeks of term 1. We find that it's really important that the focus for our Year 7s in those 5 weeks is on getting used to their new routines, and that adding that layer of homework expectation is really counterintuitive. Students, however, we would expect would be doing some reading daily, whether that's their Year 7 English texts, and obviously book lists will come out at a later date, but we will be studying an Australian text next year in Year 7 English called The Year That the Maps Change. And we do an analytical study of that text, and we also look at a text called The Invention of Hugo Cabret, which we look at and create some beautiful fictional writing from that text. So we would expect that our young people in Year 7 are reading daily, and reading widely would be wonderful, but that homework program doesn't start until week 5. In addition, we have a resource centre here, in addition to our English texts, where Year 7s can peruse and have a good look and see what we've got. It's growing. It's a work in progress. At the moment, it is little, but it grows day by day. And we have a fantastic partnership with Geelong Regional Libraries so that our young people can access a library membership close to home. From term 2, Year 7 students are expected to complete roughly 30 minutes of homework on a school night, and that's across all of their subjects. We find that primarily that homework is coming from English and maths classrooms, but certainly it's across the breadth of the subjects that our Year 7s study. Pass over for some ICT info.
Yep. The final slide from us as a duo is one regarding ICT. I think it's really important to note that all Year 7 students will receive their device, their laptop, on the first day of the school year, and they will receive a new device once they get to Year 10. So the device they receive on day 1 of 2024 will be with them for 3 years before that gets updated. Also significant is that the device cost is a part of the school fees, not an additional cost, and that we have an ICT help desk here at school. So should something go wrong with computers, something's malfunctioning or something's not working as it should, students do have the ability to come to our ICT help desk and get the support they need, not during class time, but before or after school or during one of their 2 breaks. Families will receive a user agreement that will outline all the details and responsibilities, and that will be signed by families and also by students, just as a way of saying that they will be using the device in an appropriate and respectful way. So that's it from the pair of us. I'm now going to hand over to Luke Keating, who currently is working in the numeracy space at our school and will be taking on the role of learning area leader in mathematics next year. So I'll hand over to you, Lou.
Thanks, Steve. And I'm sure you're all starting to experience a little bit of information overload. You've done a good job. That's about the length of one period, 45 minutes. So keep listening. We just think it's really important to share with you a little snip of our maths program at Iona, because we do run things a little bit differently for our Year 7s. We've got a middle years focus for our Year 7 and 8s, and both those year levels run through the same program. We really value individuals' growth, kids making an effort and getting those things accurate. Those are really key skills. We know that students come to us from a variety of primary schools and a variety of experiences in maths. So we're very aware that maths can be a real big passion for students and they can love it. And we're also aware that for some students, maths can just feel ultra challenging. And we want to try to make sure every student has some success in mathematics at Iona, and that we offer opportunities for everyone to experience their own pathway and have success in that. So our program is really supported by Maths Pathway, which is an online program. It's really driven by data on the students that we collect. And it's an online program that students can be given work and access to information that's at their level. So you might have heard of it before, you might have seen it at other schools, but we're using it in our own special Iona way here at the college. And I wanted to give you a little, I guess, intro into some of the terminology that your student might come home talking about, your young person, and so that it's not, sounding all like Latin to you. So a few different things that we might see in our maths classroom. The first thing would be teachers delivering lessons to the whole class, something that you might think of as your traditional type of class lesson. We would model something, get the students to try it together, and then they could have a go at that themselves. And this is key knowledge that we really want them to understand, and we want them to write notes about and have that key knowledge moving forward, because it's really important. With the Maths Pathway program, the data that's gathered allows the students to log on and see a lot of different levels of topics to choose from under that same stream. So you might see or hear the students talking about doing modules. This is an online lesson that they look at themselves and they work through problems at their level. So in the classroom, we might all be working at measurement, but we might have someone working at a Year 10 maths level on some measurement problems, and we might have someone else working at their level, perhaps at the Year 7 level or even lower. So we're able to have everyone inclusive in the same topic, but choosing a level that's appropriate to them so they can have success. We really love our whole class rich tasks, which are more of a hands-on learning experience where students investigate looking for patterns. They might work in pairs, collaborate to try to find really rich mathematical ideas. We can have mini lessons, which is when your student or your child might be paired up with other students to have a small lesson in a group of 4 or 5 people about a topic that we've noticed might be challenging to them, or we've noticed they might like that extension. So we might have some mini lessons where they're working in a tiny group with a teacher. They might also be involved in an intervention. This is a one-on-one half an hour lesson with the teacher where we are explicitly trying to get them to understand something that the data of the program has told us they're finding difficult. So it might be something we notice in class, or we might have an alert that says a student needs particular help, so they might have that intervention. We do regular check-ins after our testing with our students. That involves sitting down individually for a couple of minutes with each student while they create an individual goal about their learning, how they're going to achieve that goal, and then we check back in with them later to see if they're able to do it. And obviously, as per a usual maths classroom, we have regular testing and feedback on that testing. So the tests are all individual for each student, and we're able to give them real-time feedback so that they can reflect on their goals. So we've developed this program for our Year 7 and 8s. We think it gives a really good pathway for everyone to either accelerate and extend when they're going to Year 9 and beyond, like Kate was saying, all those different options, or requiring that additional support that they need to be involved and embrace mathematics in their own ways. It's a little bit different, so I'm sure there'll be many more questions next year when your little people start with us, but just to give you a snap of what we're doing so that none of this comes to a surprise. And if you are well and truly over talking by now and you can't remember any of this, please be in touch, and I'm happy to chat with you all about this individually. I'm now going to throw you over to, I believe it's Jodie, yes, to talk about our amazing music program. Thanks, Jodes.
Thanks, Lou. I won't keep you long because I've already bombed your email inbox with a note about music lessons and enrolments. So as a beginning school, we're at Year 10 now, we have an emerging sort of arts ethos, I would say. And that's come about with a lot of collaboration from parents, students and staff. So it's a very positive, sorry, back to COVID days, that's my dog. Apologise for the barking. So we have music lessons that run through the academic timetable. We run them on a rotating basis so the kids don't miss the same academic lesson. We try very hard to make sure that we know about excursions and things, but it's a really collaborative approach here. So if your child is enrolled in a music lesson at Iona and you know they're going on an excursion next week and they're Year 7 and they might forget to tell their teacher, a little email from you would be great to help us make sure we don't timetable them in that excursion. I have sent you an email about the enrolments. It would really be great to get them back by the 6th of November so that I can actually hire the appropriate staff to teach your child next year, because with such a growing school, we add a great number of staff. We have 13 this year, and I can see that we are going to need quite a few more next year for all your young people. We have lots of ensembles. The ensembles are growing and changing depending on student demand. For instance, we had a really strong music tech club, but at the moment numbers are waning and the interest doesn't seem to be there, so we might not run that first term next year. We have a choir which runs on Monday lunchtimes and or after school on Thursday, because we realise that some students want to be in choir but they can't actually get there on the Thursday, so we try and accommodate them. We've got concert bands, strings ensembles, contemporary band program, lots and lots of music running, which is very exciting. So something that you will get notice about before the end of the year is the Combined Schools Musical, which is back and running with Sacred Heart, Clonard College, Joey's and ourselves. And we had the first one back from COVID this year, the School of Rock. And some of our Year 7s this year auditioned when they were in Year 6 for that musical. So I will send you that information. So if your child is interested in auditioning, you'll get all that information as well. And something else to look out for is we have our carols at Iona on Wednesday, the 6th of December. And I'll send you the information. Come and join the community, come and have a laugh, come and listen to some wonderful music. Now, the other thing very quickly, we have registered as a school as an AMEB, Australian Music Education Exam deliverer. So we have kids doing music exams, theory exams. So we've got 2 sitting violin exams very soon, and we had our first student sit a theory exam about a week ago. So that's very exciting. And then we have lots and lots of performance opportunities, collaborations with schools. For instance, tomorrow I'm heading out with Year 10 to Matthew Flinders, and we're going to have a music collaboration. So lots going on. I've already sent you heaps of information. Please just email music@Iona and I'll give you a call, and can't wait for all those enrolments to come in too. So Jazz, back to you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jodie. That's amazing. We also may have some opportunities. We just got to look at our timetable on our orientation day. If you would like to have a chat with Jodie or Miss Townsend before or after your orientation day, but there'll be more information to come. I would like to pass over now to our amazing Nurse Every, who's going to have a bit of a chat with you about some information that she requires, and would also like to let you know about herself. Thanks.
Thanks, Justine. I'm going to be super brief. I was thrilled to join Iona this year, which has been fantastic. And my role is really to support staff and students just in day-to-day first aid, which students can access anytime throughout the day, and emergency first aid, and also managing conditions such as anaphylaxis, allergies, asthma, diabetes, epilepsy, or basically any medical condition that might impact your young person's health or learning at school. And also facilitate the immunisation program, and also help out with medical management on camp. So that's kind of a really brief summary of my role here. But I guess from tonight, the information that we require from you is to upload your students' medical information via PAM. PAM is the parent access model, and for existing families, this is replacing Operoo. So that's a change we're transitioning to at the moment. So around late November, early December, you'll receive a PAM invitation. Once you've signed into PAM, you'll see a notification that comes up to complete your student's medical profile, including an up-to-date medical action plan for any students diagnosed with asthma, any allergies including anaphylaxis, diabetes or epilepsy. So these profiles, it's really important, they must be completed by the 6th of December, so before your students come on site for orientation day. And then based on this information, if your student has a complex medical need, you'll receive a link from me to book a little meet and greet, and we can sort of go through in a bit more detail your students' medical profiles. So you'll receive a link, and available dates to meet with me will be the 11th and 12th of December. And that way we can prepare for 2024 if we need to do any additional staff training, or really tailor the needs to your students' medical requirements. So that's just a really brief overall view of what a student medical profile requires. But if you have any inquiries, please don't hesitate to contact me at medical@Iona. So I look forward to supporting your young people in 2024. And I'm going to hand back over to Justine. So thank you.
Well done, Nurse Kate. She smashed that. She was very nervous in a room full of teachers. So you did a great job. You're an absolute asset to have here at the college in terms of just having her expertise in all things to do with nursing. I know she downplayed it and said first aid, but we are very, very lucky to be able to have a nurse here at Iona College. My next slide is in relation to parent communication. We are an amazing school in the sense of the way that we communicate back to you. That was probably, I've been at a number of different Catholic colleges in my time, but I am really proud and privileged to work with such an amazing staff that will get back to you. They, from your students, your child's teachers to myself, If you need some information about your young person, you have ways of which you can get that information. It's email, phone, we have student progress meetings, we have a college website. We do have weekly news. It's not a printed newsletter. It will be put out on our socials, and there'll be a link to the printed newsletter at the moment. That may change as we get bigger, but at the moment that seems to be working quite nicely. And we do have our parent access model, Pam, who's connected to our learning model, which is Simon. So Simon and Pam are married. We use Simon as our learning tool and Pam is your communication tool. It is really important that you have access to Pam. I'm still, when I email out to families, have some emails bounce back because whether you haven't accessed Pam or your email address has changed since you've enrolled, whether it's wrong. So if you are not receiving any information from us via your email and you cannot get onto our PAM portal, please contact the school after the 6th of December and we'll let you know and we can access that. Also, there'll be some IT support here for yourselves on orientation day if you want to drop off your young person and then come and seek some support. It's really important because that will now be our Operoo model as well, but all notices and information in relation to your young person will be through this access model. So it's really important that you have access to that. So please check your details. Also in relation to the emails, all of our emails to staff here at Iona College are basically our full names, but you'll have access to a whole range of ways in which you can email us, or you can just call reception and they'll leave a message for us to get back to you. As I said, I've received a lot of email requests for transition and more information already, which I'll endeavour to get back to you as soon as I can. But please know that we are here to support you. We will get back to you as quickly as we can. Obviously, we have 65 Year 7s coming in next year, so it does take a little bit of time to get back to you, but we do endeavour to get back to you, if not in 24 hours, 48 hours from when you first contact us. So please, yeah, just keep in contact. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Durran to talk about some other issues in relation to uniform and questions around that.
Thanks, Ms. Fitzpatrick. Look, parent hat on right now for all those parents out there. I just want to guide you into my advice that has worked for my family and I think for the broader community. Your son or daughter would have heard Mr. McHugh proudly talk about that we are changing the dynamic in not having formalised uniform every day. So I purchased a blazer that was about 2 sizes too big for her, but now fits like a gem in year 8. So my strong advice is go big in year 7, and then you'll get some length and some time out of that blazer. And for the large part, most of the students wear sport uniform every single day. So I would be investing and booking in a time at PSW to get yourself some uniform. You can make a booking or you can go in there nice and early. Please don't leave it till January the 20th because that's when every other person in Geelong tries to make a booking. It just won't work. So get in there nice and early, get measured up, and that way we can organise the correct uniform for you. As I said earlier, sport uniform is the go for most of our community. So I would be getting doubles of everything. And you'll notice here that we have a few of the jackets. We have about a mixture of students doing that. We have a fair few getting the grey jacket, and I think a more wide range, and the new students are getting the puffer jacket, which is great. Personally, I wear the puffer jacket most days to school. It is so warm, and if you haven't been to our school site on a cold winter's day, it can get to near Arctic degrees. So please make sure you dress your students warm during winter and so on. And I think, as all schools will say, when the uniform is worn correctly, it looks exemplary. Mr. McHugh probably had his design touch over the purple and the colours that go with it because it's not your normal blue or white or green. I think it looks really sharp, and when it's worn well, as I just said earlier, I think it looks sensational. So please make a booking early. The last thing I will say is we are a Sun Smart hat. Sun Smart School. So students will require a hat in term 1 and term 4. That is compulsory. So please support your child in getting all of those things that you know is required. So for their first day. It's not that unease of, I don't have this, I'm going to get in trouble. Let's get them prepared and let's get them organised, and then we can gap fill if we are getting lost. The last piece of information I will give you is please label everything. We will collect everything, put in a lost property zone. We will page your child if that item is labelled, and then we can hand it straight back to your child. If things aren't labelled, it just sits in a lost property area, and that's not ideal because I know the cost of what the uniform will be. So please, advice is buy big in the formal uniform, because they will need a formal uniform because we have many services where that is required. But sport uniform, get doubles, get hats, and get labelling over summer. Thanks, Misfits. I'll give you back.
Thanks, Mr. Darren. Just on the uniform as well, I know I've had a few emails in regards to what they need to wear on their first day of school. You'll get information about that, but we will have in that first week of Year 7 next year some formal days. So it's really important that you have your formal uniform ready for that first week. We will have a smoking ceremony and an opening school mass. So please don't just think because it's going to be hot that you just buy the summer uniform. We really do need a summer sports and a summer formal. I would suggest that you only buy the summer uniform if you need just certain uniforms. We do have a really good secondhand uniform shop on our Facebook page. So if you haven't accessed that already, our Iona Community Facebook page, please do that. There are some really good secondhand. But please, I reiterate with Mr. Darren, label, please label. There's so many things that are not labelled. If you have your initial, and if you wash it, it may need to be relabeled. So please do that because it is expensive and it's really challenging to give back uniforms that don't have a label on it. You're doing really well. We've got 3 slides to go, so please hold. I'm talking all things orientation day. It is on Tuesday, 12th of December. We do run it in 2 sessions due to the amount of students that we have. We don't want to overwhelm students on that first day to have 260 students also for staff. We will run it in primary schools. So on the day, you'll be asked to come as a primary school cohort with other primary schools, obviously, but we do that mainly so that if you need to carpool, you know certain students, you'll know faces of certain students already. That is not your community group. Please know that. I do get asked that a lot on the day. Orientation day is just a randomised put into groups. You will be put in with people that you know. However, you'll be moving around doing activities, meeting staff, going to different places in the school. It is only for half day, so we will run a half day session in the morning and a half day session in the afternoon. You'll know what your session is in the upcoming weeks. We're just getting that organised with numbers in regards to primary schools. So again, it is primary school based orientation. Our transition week next year is when you'll learn your community group. So please understand that. But orientation day is all about fun, meeting staff. We won't have all staff here. We have a lot of new staff joining us next year. We have 30 new staff joining us who will be having their orientation day the next day, but you'll get to meet a lot of staff. Students won't be here. They have finished. They will be on holidays. So please know that you'll have the school to yourselves in terms of Year 7s or up and coming grade 6s. So that's a really exciting time. What I do want to say is please cherish your last few weeks of being in grade 6. It's an exciting time to finish your primary education. I actually went to my Year 12 daughter's graduation last night, so it's a really special time. I know it's sort of, you're anxious, you're sad, you're excited, but please enjoy the last few celebrations that you'll have over the next coming weeks, and know that we are really excited to have you joining us at Iona College. And I hope you've had some information. I know it's been information overload, but it has been. The last thing I'll talk about before we say goodbye, which is Mr. McHugh had a chat about, is buses and some fees. So book list, transport and fees. Please know that this is an estimate at the time of printing or uploading this PowerPoint. We're still clarifying some of the costs, but it will not be any more than what we've put up here. So book list requirements, they're going to be released in early November. So if you purchase everything new, which you do not have to do, please know there are a lot of secondhand books. We have a lot lying around in classrooms and things like that because, again, they're not labelled either. It's about $500, but if you get onto our Facebook page, there are a lot of parents now selling books from prior years, but please also cross-check that you might need different editions of books. So sometimes books will change, novels will change, or editions of different maths books will change. So just make sure that whatever you purchase is the right one. You're more than welcome to go to Officeworks Big W for your stationery. It is a book list with requirements that we think that your child needs to bring. If you're not sure what they need at what time, just have enough written books so they can write in for their first day. We will not be asking your young person to bring all their books on their first day. They will break their backs. So just know that as well. The buses in particular, as Mr. McHugh said, we're sort of still working out the bus with the bus company. We're a new school. We're working out different ways that we can do the buses. However, just as a little bit of a cost, a tier 1, if you're in a tier 1 area, which means the bus, I learnt this off our business manager the other day. If you are living where your bus may go 80 kilometres or less, it'll be an estimated cost of $488. If your bus will go up in a 100 kilometre zone, it will be a little bit dearer. And he's just mentioned there that if you're from Torquay, Jan Juc, Ocean Grove or Barwon Heads, you will be a tier 2. So depending how fast your bus goes will depend on what tier you're in to depend on how much it will cost. Again, we mentioned that your computer will be part of your fees, initial fees. So everything is covered except for books and uniforms. So please, again, feel free to purchase anything secondhand of good quality. I'm going to hand over to Mr. McHugh, but lastly, I would just like to say thank you to all the staff that have given up their time to come to the information night tonight. I know it's been a lot of information, but I hope it just eases your minds that we're here to support you. You are now part of our community, our Iona community. You've met some really key people that will be part of your young person's journey. And I hope if your young person's listening, we look so forward to meeting you, educating you, building relationships and connections with you. And if you've got any further questions from us, there's some emails there. But again, if you lose track of these emails, just ring reception and they'll pass on your message fairly quickly to who we need to get in contact with. In terms of transition orientation, I'll be handing out some information soon. I just wanted us to meet you first before we inundated you with some more information regarding all of those things. Please know that we are here for you. Any information you haven't given us, please do in the next week, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and we hope to see you soon. And I'll hand back over to Mr. McHugh. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Fitz, for that. And thank you. I also echo your words. Thank you to all the staff that have joined us tonight to assist with the presentation of information. I just had a small giggle there with those bus costs. They're not something to laugh at, but I imagine a lot of parents are going, what's the difference between the bus costs when one goes 100 and one goes 80? But we have to have seat belts on at least the ones that go 100, and we are still looking at how we still get seat belted buses for the other bus services. So we are slowly getting our way through getting seat belts for your young person to keep them safe. But small things, but people might sort of wonder what's going on in that particular space. As Justine said, we look forward to meeting you. I think she made the point of waiting, perhaps if it's not an urgent contact, perhaps to wait until you receive the Year 7 handbook, till you receive the correspondence that we guarantee you will receive on the buses, and you receive the correspondence for transition day in December. All those things are really important. And I also echo the words that we will be distributing probably tomorrow, I think, a copy of this presentation for you to review if you wish to have a look at it again. Thank you for supporting us. This is a commencement for many of you on the journey. I've noticed that we've had a really good turnout of parents and carers, many of whom are existing parents, but it's wonderful to also invite them back, but also our new parents and carers who will be part of what we know will be a very successful journey. I always end with this, that sending your most precious asset to school, of which you're doing, and which we're really thankful that you've entrusted to us. It's not easy. And we are the first people to say that we don't always get everything right. We are realists, that young people have complexities as they grow up. But what we will guarantee you is that we will surround your young person with people that care, people that consider relationships at the heart of education. And I think that I'd like to think that we have established a really good reputation over our existence over 4 years. And certainly if you've been speaking to parents who are current parents, hopefully they'll echo my words. It must be dinner time. My stomach is rumbling, which means that I'm hungry, and I imagine everybody else is. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all soon.